Hello and welcome back, and for those of you who are new, my name is Perry and this is Tesla DIY. Today's video is going to be slightly different. I'm not going to be doing any installation or modification to my Tesla Model 3. Instead, I'm going to be introducing something I've been working on that is Tesla related. Some of you who may be following my Instagram have seen it already. Make sure you go check out my Instagram, because if you enjoy Tesla content and if you like photography, I combine both my hobby together, do some photography with my Tesla Model 3. So if you like what you see, give me a follow. But anyways, today I am here to introduce to you my Tesla Model 3 and Tesla Model Y cup holder shifter. Some of you might be thinking, what the hell is a cup holder shifter? Some of you might ask why or what it's for. It's really no reason and no purpose. It's just for the sake of having fun. And for those of you who come from a car background, consider yourself a car guy, probably had or still have a traditional stick shift manual gearbox vehicle. So this is what it's really all about, being able to sit in traffic with autopilot. Hopefully you still have your hands on the wheel, but sometimes you're gonna have one hand free doing nothing. People usually rest their hands on the shifter, or even if you drive an automatic, you might rest your hand on the gear selector. Anyway, so how about we just go to the car and I'll show you how it looks. And if you're interested in buying one of these, I'll leave a link in the description. And if you're not interested in the rest of the video, where I'm gonna be explaining the design process, because I'm pretty proud of the whole design, even though it's not really anything technical, but after months of redesigning, changing material from one design to another after so many months, and I'm finally happy with the designs. So if you stick around toward the end of the video, I'm gonna go through my design phases, how the design looked when I first started and how it is right now, how much improvement I made and why I made them. So let's go to the car and take a look at this. Alright, so thanks for sticking around. Now that we're in the car, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the shifter itself. So it's a 5-speed with a reverse. I don't have room to make it a 6-speed, so 5-speed is all we get. And then top it off with a Model 3 shift knob. And I'm gonna go over all the component, all the material, hardware and everything, but for now we're just gonna show you how it works and how it fits. So this is the driver's side, left side cup holder. You basically just place it in. It's a really snug fit, so it doesn't really move around. It's just friction, and it sits pretty flush with the top of the center console. Surprisingly, when you rest your arm on the center console armrest, your hand naturally falls into the position as if it was designed to have a shifter at this location. So you just casually sit in traffic, driving, and you just kind of put it in gear. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. And notice how it clicks. I try to make it as close to a real deal. So when you shift, there's like a resistance, and then when you shift it in the right gear, you'll hear a click, just like that. And also it auto return to neutral position. So you know how when you're in traffic, you want to make sure you're in neutral, you wiggle on the middle section, left and right axis, you kind of just wiggle. You can see that I tried my best to mimic a real shifter and a real stick shift driving experience. So yeah, so this is how it looks, how it works, and if you like it, link in the description. For now, if you want to stick around, and I will take you through the entire design process, and I promise you I'll keep it as short as I can. So let's go. Okay, right now you're in my photo studio at home, and what you're looking at right now is some, not all of the failed design, failed print, old design. So this is kind of the first phase of the design with a rubber band on the side, and also this is printed in PLA. Don't worry, the final design is printed in PETG. If you're familiar with 3D printing, It is one of the stronger and heat tolerated material, so it'll withstand pretty high heat. And I have tested, I'll show you in a bit. I have all the finished pieces laid out by my living room window, so every day it's getting a couple hours of sunlight, so just to make sure nothing warps, nothing melt down, which was part of the design failure at the early stages. So the rubber bands always adding tension to the side, causing the both sides to bend inside. Yeah, and I went from all these edgy looking parts to more pretty looking and different material. All these notches, I went back and forth with how big, how small, and all these walls are thinner, thicker, because this is what makes it pivot. So if it's any tighter, I can't stick it in, or this part has to be somewhat flexible to expand so I can shove this in. And then once it's in, I want to make sure it doesn't pop out, so it has to be somewhat tight. So the tolerance I have to play around with for some time. And then this is threaded, so it needs to be printed separately at a precise setting. And then these are not as precise, so they get printed separately. This is the slider piece, and also the notches determine how much of a click and how much resistance you have when you shift. There's actually 3-4 more different design just for this. And then what I call it, the housing, it's actually pretty strong. Some of these are printed in ABS. It was part of the experiment. ABS works, but it's harder to print, and I have more failure attempts. There's at least 5-6 different designs just for the housing. Top lid, not much of any redesigning, but this is by far the harder piece to print because notice how glossy it is. So this is printed off of a mirror, and when you pull it off, it gives you a very smooth, glossy, mirror-like finish. But oftentimes, if the bed is not perfectly level, you have one side that's lift higher up from the print bed, then you get a failed print. So, alright, I promise you guys I keep it short, so enough of the failed print. I could talk all day about these, but let's go to the final product. And I'm gonna put up some actual assembly video too, so you guys know what kind of work gets put into after hours of printing time. And then there's assembly, and there's hardware that I have to source and buy. I have to find the right hardware for what I need, like the shift shaft. I don't want it to be printed, so I use actual metal bolt. And this was hard to find because I want specific length and specific threads. Initially, I want to make it so it threads to actual shift knob, at least the most common one. I think it's like 12 by 1.5 or something. But there is a bunch of screw or bolt for the top and the side. And then on the top here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a PTFE tube which works as a slider. So it comes in a row like this, where I have to use this tool and manually clip the right length for each of the assembly, and each of them takes 2 of them, so there's all that. And then threading the bolt into one of the what I call the gyro is pretty painful because the thread is not really clean and it's super tight, so I need to use a prier on one end and use another prier to manually thread the whole thing from all the way at the top to all the way at the bottom. So the whole thing, these springs, which replace the initial rubber band design. So the spring goes in here, so this thing will pivot and push onto the springs. So that's what gives that auto return neutral effect. And then this one pivot the other way, so this one pivot left and right, this one will pivot up and down. So that's what gives the shifter the XY axis pivot. And like I said, the spring, that's what it does. And then this thing just slides on the PTFE tube like that, and pretty much it. You bolt it all together, thread in the knob, and you're good to go. So let's take a look at the printer, which I had to upgrade for printing different material. And then we'll also take a look at the computer design. I always enjoy looking at Cad drawings. That's actually what I do at my daytime job, so let's take a look at that as well. Okay, so here are 2 of my printers. They're both Creality. This one is a CR10, it's a bigger printer, and this is a Ender 3. It's one of my more reliable printer. Right now it's printing the top. As mentioned, it's printing on a glass bed mirror. This one is also printing on a mirror bed, and it's currently printing the base. So this is my setup. I had to buy the enclosure and DIY my own enclosure just to print ABS and PETG. Alright, so now we're into the last part of the video. We're looking at the Cad drawing of the design, and as I was telling you guys, I named these the top piece, the gyro, which is what makes it pivot, and the housing, the base, and the slider. The hardwares are not included on the drawing because it's not needed, but if I turn off some of these layers, I can show you a better presentation of the actual design. So here are the gyros. This is one of the pieces, and then the second gyro. This is the slider that slides back and forth and makes the clicking sound. And then we got the housing. The housing have these little notch to sit the PTFE tube for the slider to slide left and right, and then it's got these tabs to screw the top on like so, and then the base are similar with the little tabs on the side to bolt the housing down. These two little circles are for the spring to sit in, and then if you look at the bottom of the gyro, it's got a little notch, so that's where the spring's gonna sit in, and so it doesn't move. So when this thing turns left and right, it pushes the spring down, and that's pretty much it. Here's a little section cut of it, and I also opened this up just to save material, and also thought it was pretty cool to expose some of the mechanism inside. So this is it. If you guys are interested, I'll leave a link in the description, and hopefully you understand all the process that went into in order to create this product, not just the designing, the investment into the time, the hardwares, print time, material, and also shipment. I just ordered shipping boxes, and so I'm pretty much committed. Hopefully you guys like it, and if you do, consider getting yourself one, or for your friend. Father's Day coming up, so that would be a pretty cool and hilarious present for your dad or for yourself or your friend. So, but yeah, hopefully I kept this short, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.